Hello, good people. I hope wherever you're watching us from, you are having a great time. This is AfriPost, and welcome to today's video. Now, one thing that is evident across the globe is that black people are arriving at a point where there is a necessity for spiritual awakening. That has happened in many aspects. We have seen the evidence starting to come out by itself, proving that blacks have been and continue to be the main subjects of the Bible. But this is disputed by many people. We've seen whites try to give us a history of themselves, owning the Bible and giving us biblical figures, people like Abraham, Jesus Christ, and many others, and portraying them as if they were white. But with more research that we've done, we are finding out that, in fact, the Bible in itself embodies the culture of the black person, and especially the African person. So why is it that whites try to own everything in this Bible and make it look like black people do not have a place in it? Even if you look at how we have been treated in different theological teachings, the Dutch Reform movement has told a story of how creation took place. And one representation that they always use is that God had a pot where he was cooking and creating human beings. And what happened is that he first brought out a white person. He went again to the pot and removed an Indian who is lighter in skin. Then the last person who was to be removed out of this pot was a black person. And they explained that because of the delay in removing black people from this pot, blacks remained black as it is. So look at that kind of theology. And these people try to teach us Christianity, and they want us to embrace it. They try to degrade our value and try to look at us as people who are third-grade human beings. But right now, given the research that is already coming out and the evidence that we have seen, it is quite open that black people were the original human beings, and the whole of the Bible was used as a tool to really capture the history of Africans and blacks. So to answer a lot of questions that come out of these discussions, I want us to listen to one scholar here. This is Joshua Maponga. He has been very, very vocal on issues relating to African spirituality, and he has talked much about the place of black person in the Bible. And him having been a Seventh-day Adventist who was well respected and having read the Bible and taught it to a great number of people, I believe he has the moral ground and standing to tell us more about what the Bible says and the place of the black person in the Bible. So let's watch this compilation of videos that I've put for you, then come back and talk about it more.
Who are the black people? Who are the Africans? Who is Al-Keblan? Al-Keblan is not the European race. Al-Keblan is the mother of humankind, and that is my kind. Yeah, the Hamite theology. No, Noah had 3 sons. One son is Shem, the other son is Jeham, the other son is Japheth, and then Shem is the father of the white people, Ham is the father of the black people, Japheth is the father of the Indians and the Asians. But no one wants to talk it. Noah, what ethnicity was Noah? And if you can find the ethnicity of Noah, then we know what Methuselah, we know what Noah, we know what Enoch, we know Seth and Enosh, we know Adam, and we know God. And how can we have the Shemites as white people when the city that Abraham comes from is the city of Uz, of the Chaldees? And on chapter 9 and chapter 11 of Genesis, the same Bible argues that Nimrod, the black Hamite, built 11 cities, including Nineveh, including Ur, including Babylon. And Abraham comes from the city that was built by Nimrod. Nimrod, who is a black man, and his name the omnipotent one, God. Bara gave birth. Ham, the black people. Abraham, Abraham. You are not ready, young people. You are not ready because you are still constipated with colonial theology. If you could give me a minute to unpack, your life will never be the same. The war is real. It's a war of identity. Who are the chosen nation? Because once you become chosen, as we have theologically allowed white people to become the children of Shem, and if Shem is white, then in the same breath, the whiteness of Shem in Genesis 11 translate into the whiteness of Shem in Abraham in Genesis 12 and 15, translates into the whiteness of Perez and translates itself into Jesse. Jesse is the father of David, and David, if Shem is white, then Abraham is white, then Perez is white, then Isaac is white, then David must be white, Solomon must be white, Boaz must be white, and Joseph must be white. And that theology is hinged on a wrong interpretation of Genesis chapter 11, that Shem is the father of the white people. So you see the ripple effect of misconcepted theology. Because you accept one wrong thing in Genesis, you cannot refuse that Jesus is white when Abraham is white. You can't refuse that Jesus is white when David is meant to be white according to the Shemite and the Hamite theology that purports that Shem is the father of white people and salvation comes from the family of Shem. I don't know what I'm gonna do with you as young people who have big mouths and small ears. Big mouths, small ears, and minute brains. You can't process this information because the revolution will start.
Now, from that clip that I've played first, you're able to see that Joshua Maponga, he's able to put a link between black people and the Bible. And he says that dating back to the days of Noah, we can see how the Bible tried to give us the origin of whites, blacks, and all other races. So let's continue watching, then see more revelations that Joshua Maponga is giving us.
And again, this is where religion really messes up this thing to a level you can't understand. Because it is Christianity that taught the Afrikaner when he came here that God was cooking people in a pot. Humanity was in a pot. This is on paper.
Yeah.
The Dutch Reformed theology. So he took out the whites first. That's why they are white. The next, he took out the Indians and the coloreds. That's why they are light in complexion. You thought I was going to take out the blacks. Then the story says he forgot the blacks in the bottom of the pot. That's why they bent and they are black.
Penny.
Now, then Christianity says you are a chosen nation.
Oh, the covenant.
To this group now. You are a chosen nation. And listen to dangerous verses. Wherever your foot will go, I'll give you that land. I'll send you to the land of the Gentiles who don't know, and I'll give you that land. And then the Afrikaner, when he comes into South Africa, he says, God gave us this land. And God gave them the land because the people they found on the land were pagan and did not believe in Jesus. And because they believed in Jesus and they are the children of the Most High, therefore they have power and authority over the people that are non-believers.
The Kafirs.
I want you to
Kafir
understand.
is a non-believer.
This is serious because the whole idea of apartheid is not politics. It's religion. Therefore, if you don't believe in Jesus, you don't deserve dignity, you don't deserve respect, you don't deserve land. And me who believe in Jesus, as that other white man from Harry Smith, whatever it is, spoke out blatantly.
Lord Smith.
Not Lord Smith, man. This is a pastor who does crusades there, with puts on a big hat.
Oh, Buchanan.
Yeah, spoke up and he said, only us,
The covenant.
Afrikaners and white people made a covenant with God. Oh, wow.
That's
and the
Buchanan,
rest
yeah.
of you, and then he'd come back a few days, of course, and apologize for religious reasons. But he had already said it, and we had him. And by saying that the only ones with the covenant, it means that all of us, 50 million later, who don't have a covenant with God, we don't have access to water, we don't have access to land, we don't have access to respect and dignity. And then the Constitution is written, not for the 50 million, it's written to protect the rights of the 2 million.
But history tells us that as Africans, we were pagans. Before Christianity was brought to Africa, we were worshipping demons and witchcraft and all these things. Is that true?
All African, when you pick up the book, by the way, there's a chapter I put there for African names of God in the African space. And when you get to that chapter, you discover that African traditional religions are all monotheistic. Unkulunkulu, Umvelingangi, Mudimu, Ramasedi, Mngari, Gainyame, Onkopon, all those names. They don't talk of a plural God. When the white men found an African kneeling under a tree in prayer, they said he's worshipping a tree. There's no African religion that teaches Africans to worship their forefathers and their ancestors. Ancestors are a historical connecting cable to the creation that happened before we became. Therefore, I am Joshua, the son of Lazarus. Lazarus, who is the son of Marara. Marara, who is the son of Maponga. Maponga, who is the son of Munyuki. Munyuki, the son of Muchena. Muchena, the son of Nduma. Son of Nokwara. Son of Chapinduka. Son of Mwenemtapa, son of Tobera, son of Murenga. From the great kingdoms of Guruswa in Embo, the sons of Nangashe were in Ethiopia now. Who are the sons of Ham in your Bible? The sons of Cush, the sons of Adam, the sons of God. Now, when you understand that our ululations of our African genealogy is not worshipping ancestors, but recognizing those who were here before us, connecting us to the one who made us before we became. Then you say in African worships ancestors. There's no African religion. There's no African spirituality that teaches you to worship your forefathers. It simply says, call on them. And by the way, there's no African prayer that does not end before you say, please tell the one who created you to deal with this problem. Therefore, it's what we call sacred history interpreted in European construct. When an African calls his forefathers, just like a Jew says God of Isaac, God of Jacob, God of Abraham, and etc. An African, and by the way, white people don't know the Bible because they don't have ancestors, they don't have surnames, they don't have totems. When they say Jesus of the tribe of Judah, they don't know the other Jesus is Mtaung, so we cannot help them. Because even the construct of the text itself challenges their culture, which they don't have. When your brother dies, please go and marry the wife. A white man does not know how to do that. But in African, it's culture. When boys are of a certain age, please go and circumcise them. A white man does not know how to do that. A black man knows how to do that. Now, how can you wait for a white man to tell you what is in the text when the culture and the religion of the text is not European? 80% of the Bible is polygamy. The white man does not know that. He comes down with the monogamous concept on the end. Then we start teaching cheating and etc. on the left and create media around that. let's not waste our time. What we now believe as Christianity, Mchana, is European culture. Hey, umtanami, ngiyekaphume lapha endlini engafakanga ingubo emhlophe. My daughter will not leave this house until she's putting on a white dress. Because the mother now thinks that a white wedding is superior to a black wedding or a cultural wedding. So here we are in Sandton right now, 300,000 young boys and girls sleeping with each other, 2-3 children later, because they can't afford 250,000 to go and hire Aventura or Avante for a wedding, to do a white wedding. Are we practicing Christianity? Or this religion we have accepted, this Jesus we are talking about and this God we are talking about will not accept a black man until he becomes white first. Then God can deal with him. Because if you bring your traditional drum into the church, Jesus will run through the door. Because he does not understand this. If you come dressed up like a Zulu into a church, the elder will find a tie for you and a jacket so that Jesus does not get traumatized. These are the realities we need to start talking about as Africans. That are we saying what we've accepted as Christianity is Christianity, or it is actually European culture? Then you ask me. And I'll tell you that 60 to 80% of Christian practices is European culture. A man who gives you herbs to drink is a witch. A man who aborts your wife and takes the fetus to make tablets and give you back to drink is a doctor. And your government says this is a witchcraft act. It's not witchcraft as a noun. It's witchcraft as a question. Witchcraft are you using?
I'm getting nervous because that stick keeps pointing at me and I've got a feeling it can end up hitting me if I say the wrong thing. In the book you say the white God does not hear black prayers unless we are presented in a European way. What do you mean? Because we've been praying all our lives.
Because the African child is not at liberty to present himself before the white God without changing his culture first. Then we understand that Christianity has to do with the sodomizing of the African culture. Because when an African approaches God as an African, Jesus cannot accept them. Therefore, religion is founded on cultural transformation, economic transformation, political transformation, fashion transformation, pharmaceutical transformation, spiritual transformation. Because as an African, God cannot deal with you, Mlapo. If you come out as a Tswana in your Tswana underwear with a stick on your shoulder and you walk up to church, half of the church will run through the door. But they cannot deal with the African until he has been to Edgar's and Markham's and got himself a tie and a jacket to be accepted. When I make those comments, I'm saying we must be careful that when we buy bread, we don't swallow the plastic also. Eat the content, but the packaging of the gospel. But the way, while we are on that, let me be very clear that Christianity is colonialism. Because had the Muslim been here before Christians, ask me what you will have been. Talk to me. Go to Egypt if you don't know. Go to Kenya if you don't know. Go to Tanzania if you don't know. Go to Malawi if you don't know. The populations are Muslims. Why? Because the colonialists who came had the same complexion, the religion they brought. So don't tell me I'm a Christian. Say I'm a colonized Christian. But that's what it is all about. Had Allah been here and Muhammad before Jesus was, you'll have been saying Allah Akbar and equally convinced that there is only one God but Allah. And I love Muslims, by the way. If you believe that when you die, you go to heaven, the Muslim says, can I kill you and we go together? Then the Christian is always not ready to die.
I have a question for you. If God wanted us in heaven, then why did he create us on earth? Why are we here? Now all of a sudden we're here discussing how and what are we going to do after we die. Who cares about what we die? Let's stop talking about the dead. Let's talk about the living. How do we live? That's why I say in my own theology, there's no man who is entitled to be having a wife before he has land. Every man must have 2 wives. The first wife is land, and the second wife is the one who gives children. And the first wife will help you to look after the second wife. Before you make my daughter pregnant, make sure that the land is pregnant. Because when the land is pregnant, wife number 2 can always eat. Therefore, God created Adam. He created Eden, then Adam, then Eve. Therefore, without Eden, you don't have legal rights to be marrying Eve. For every Eve must be submitted into an Eden. And if you're an Adam and you don't have land, you don't qualify to reproduce. That's why lions, when they walk in the bush, they pee on the bushes. They pee on the bushes to mark their territory. And after they've used their urine for territory, then they use their sperm for reproduction. And as humanity, we must learn also from the animals. Without territory, it is illegal to reproduce. Theology, what is it about God?
Now, that is some great speech by one Joshua Maponga, and he has really tried to break down every aspect of Christianity as we know it and how it relates with black person or even the African person. So I tried to read around and I came across a reflection on an article by one Kenyan called Wangui wa Kamonji, who was talking about decolonization of the soul. And one thing that came out of that is that religion has been used for many years as a tool to entangle our minds and our hearts so that we are not able to think by ourselves, so that we are able to continue propagating ideas of the white man. And this is what Wangui says in her article, that after 7 years of being on the journey, I can say that I have arrived at several shores of knowledge and understanding. Even more, however, I have begun to wonder about the silence around African spirituality and its persistent labeling as sorcery or devil worship. This is what this scholar got, because after doing her research, she comes out to find that what we have been told is that the white man's religion is superior to the black man's religion, and that the spirituality that is African has always been associated with what is evil and sorcery. So look at this and really ask yourself, who on earth told white people that the culture and even the religion that we have is something that is not worth talking about? It's something that is not worth really putting it where it should. Now, when you try to really look deeper at what African spirituality is, you get amazed at how black people are directly connected to nature. You know, even as Joshua Maponga has perfectly described, that when the white man came to Africa, they found Africans going down and bowing and even talking to trees. And they thought that these people are worshiping these trees. They saw the black person talking to the sun, talking to the wind, and they thought that these people are worshiping the wind. Yet this is not the case. He has described how African religion or spirituality has been monolithic. That is, they do not have multiple gods of different things. It has always been a monolithic kind of religion, and that it is not a theocracy or even a totalitarian religion that really tries to impose things on people. But one thing that African spirituality does is that it connects you with the environment. You are able to relate with the environment as it is. The creation, human beings, plants, other animals. And that is why also if you look at Africa, you are able to see that it is this continent that has many, many wild animals. This is because we are able to directly connect with the nature, and our culture and even our religions has always put us at a point where we are able to promote ideals, including environmental conservation. Now, this is what religion is understood in the African context. And this I'm reading from the Harvard Gazette. And it says that, for starters, the word religion is problematic for many Africans because it suggests that religion is separate from other aspects of one's culture, society, or environment. But for many Africans, religion can never be separated from all these. It is a way of life, and it can never be separated from the public spheres. Religion informs everything in traditional African society, including political art, marriage, health, diet, dress, economic, and death. This is not to say that indigenous African spirituality represents a form of theocracy or religious totalitarianism. Not at all. African spirituality simply acknowledges that beliefs and practices touch on and inform every facet of human life, and therefore African religion cannot be separated from the everyday or mundane. African spirituality is truly holistic. For example, sickness in the indigenous African worldview is not only an imbalance of the body, but also an imbalance of one's social life, which can be linked to breakdown in one's kinship and family relations, or even to one's relationship with one's ancestors. So, reading that really gives you a global view of what religion is in the African perspective. Blacks have always talked about their place in religion. And looking at the African spirituality as it has been presented here, compare it with Christianity that we are sold to, you will be able to identify that the African spirituality that we have does not have any opportunity of being racist in any form, because it has become an individual's thing to do. There is no group of people who are told to do this and that. All that happens is that we are seeing a people who have been informed about their environment. They are able to relate with their environment in a better way. They are able to really look at themselves and understand their place in supporting environmental conservation and growth. So that is really what African spirituality gives you. And therefore, when the white man came here, told us about a chosen people whom God had given land, that every land where they step on with their feet, that land shall belong to them. That is what they perpetuated in the African continent, and they ensured that they owned most lands that were not originally theirs in the African continent. So we must really point that out. And on this, I tend to agree with Joshua Maponga. He is coming out to really educate all of us and tell us the truth that must be told as it is. There are many of us who do not want to really accept these truths, and some of us have been so much indoctrinated, so to an extent that we are dogmatic and not able to entertain any other view that really tells us anything different from the white man's religion. It therefore calls for self-introspection and thinking intellectually and understanding where your conscience puts you at that time. That is it for us today. Tell me down in the comment section what you think about this. And if you're watching us for the first time, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like this video, and also share. Thank you, and may the good Lord bless you. Goodbye.